Hello friends, now we're going to study on eukaryotic cells. This cell has true nucleus. True nucleus means genetic material in cytoplasm of eukaryotic cell is covered by a nuclear membrane or nuclear envelope. This cell is found in protists, fungi, plants and animals. You may remember we said prokaryotic cells, they have only kingdom Monera, at example Brugelin, algae, bacteria, mycoplasma. The remaining four kingdoms, they have eukaryotic type of cell. Eukaryotic cells differ in shape. This different shape we're going to study in chapter 2. Some of these cells have varying shape. They change from time to time like amoeba, so we sometimes call organisms as amoeboid shaped. Such change in shape due to function of the cells, my friends, is a chapter question because cells often have shapes that adapt to their function. So always shape depend on function of cell, or you can say function closed or related to the shape of cell. As nerve cells elongated to transport impulses, red blood cells lose their nucleus disc-shaped to transport more oxygen, or flat cells in skin to provide function of protection. Eukaryotic cells are small and can only seen by microscope, yet but they are larger than prokaryotic cells. So if we compare one animal cell, about 100 times it's bigger than bacteria cell, but it again not enough to be seen by naked eye. Also we need a microscope to observe eukaryotic cells. Generally, all cells, they have a surface structure like plasma membrane to exchange material with surrounding environment appropriately. It's a living membrane. So, survival of cell depend on this material exchange. Anytime it stop, disruption or maybe even cell die. Eukaryotic cells have three major components. It's also a question in chapter questions: cell wall and plasma membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus are three main parts of eukaryotic cell, but not all cells. While because there is no nucleus in prokaryotic cells, but they have what? Nucleoid. So if question asks you to write three main parts of all cells, generally cells, it's plasma membrane, cytoplasm and genetic material, but not nucleus. On this page we see pictures or drawings for plant cell and animal cell, my friends. These three-dimensional pictures are not included in ministry exam to draw, but on the left side of page we see plant cell and animal cells with details and organelles in their cytoplasm. They are included in exam, but from 2012, the date which our book is renewed, these two pictures added to the book, but until now it is not asked in ministry exam, but it's included. So you have to know how to draw and label the parts of cell. For eukaryotic cell, we're going to study location, structure, and function again. We said location for protists, fungi, plants, and animal cells. And for function, we said their function depend on their cell. Now we're going to study on structure of eukaryotic cell, and we start from out to in. From outermost layer, cell wall, we start. Cell wall exists only on plant cells. It is an outer thick cell wall surrounding the cell. It covers the plasma membrane. So, location of cell, we said any structure in book, we need their location, structure, function. So, surrounding the cell and covering the plasma membrane is location for cell wall. Cell wall provides protection and support to the plasma membrane. It's function of cell wall, while this part we said it's location for cell wall. On that page, cell wall, we study its structure. Cell wall has three layers. This middle lamella, primary wall, and secondary wall. My friends, we know plant cells, simply we can draw like this. And one cell comes from another cell by cell division, by in-cell division. First, nucleus divide. As nucleus division completed, division of cytoplasm follow it. So when nucleus divide, two nuclei in one cell, these two nuclei to share the organelles and cytoplasm between them from cytoplasm outward to the cell wall, they build a plate or thin structure between them. We call it middle lamella. But as plants age, we cannot identify this middle lamella, but only on the edge of cells we can identify it. As it completed to build the middle lamella, each of the cells built their own wall. This first produced wall, we call it primary wall, and it consists of only cellulose and found in young plant cells. As time passes, plants thicken their wall by another waxy waterproof substance, we call it lignin. And as thickened with lignin, lignin plus cellulose makes what? Secondary wall. Means same that this one of this wall primary, but this two one together we call them secondary wall. So plant cell wall made up of three layers: middle lamella, primary wall, and after secondary wall. My friends, if you identify we didn't define the cell wall, what if they ask you in ministry exam about what is cell wall? As we see, there is no direct definition, cell wall is this, or give you information at the end said call it or known as cell wall. In this kind of situations, we need to give some information about location, structure, and function. If we said briefly about it in a short way, it's definition. But we explain in all detailed explanation for cell wall. Explain the cell wall or define the cell wall. If define, it is outer thick wall surround the plasma membrane in plant cell. It support and protect plasma membrane and cytoplasm. Also it covered with, it made up of three main layers, which chemically made up of cellulose and lignin. It's a definition for cell wall. So when there is no direct definition, how we make a perfect definition? We give information about location, structure, and function. So as we move from out to in after cell wall, we meet with a cellular membrane surrounding the cytoplasm, which is flexible, thin, and a fluid membrane, unseen by light microscope, but can be seen by electron microscope. So if we compare by cell wall can be seen by light microscope. Cell wall is thick, cell wall is solid, but plasma membrane is thin, plasma membrane flexible, plasma membrane fluid, unseen by light, but can be seen by electron microscope. And also cell wall present or cover only plant cell, while plasma membrane found in plant cell and animal cells. Chemically, plasma membrane consists of two layers of phospholipids. Phospholipids, one phosphate group and two fatty acid. It makes what? One phospholipid. But phospholipid made up of two different parts. This circular part is phosphate group, and phosphate group, as we see in picture, it have contact with external environment and intracellular cytoplasm. So cytoplasm contain a lot of water. External environment also contain water. Mean always this part have contact with water. So it's water-like. Mean it likes water. So likes water scientifically we call it hydrophilic. But while the tail part, which made up of fatty acid, as we know fat is insoluble in water, it's not likes water, so we call it hydrophobic. We know phobia, we use this term for something we don't like. So hydrophobic and hydrophilic and makes what? One phospholipid. So plasma membrane consists of what? One and two layers of phospholipids. What more? The two layers of phospholipids are separated by protein particles that allow passage or control of materials. We call them carrier proteins because they carry substance into the cell or out of the cell through holes. These names are important during labeling because this structure of plasma membrane is included in ministry exam. You have to know how to draw it. Not only write 3 or 4 phospholipids and 1 protein particle, but 1, 2, 3, and 4 sets of phospholipids, between them protein carriers, and not forget to show hole which allow material exchange into and out of cell. For this information, we need to know how to compare the plasma membrane with cell wall according to their location, structure, and function. In location, cell wall cover the plasma membrane in plant cell, while plasma membrane is common for plant cell and animal cells. Cell wall support and protect the cytoplasm, but plasma membrane provide material exchange into and out of cell. As structure, cell wall is thick, solid structure, can be seen by light microscope, while plasma membrane thin, flexible fluid membrane unseen by light microscope. Cell wall chemically consists of cellulose and after thickened with lignin, but plasma membrane chemically made up of 2 layers of phospholipids. And we said cell wall made up of 3 main layers: primary wall, secondary wall, and middle lamella, while plasma membrane consists of 2 layers of phospholipids and some protein particles that separate them one from another and control material exchange in and out of